नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. Welcome to our daily sessions on Krishna's Dwaraka Leelas. In the last two episodes, we have seen how Krishna has erected this Dwaraka fort in the middle of the ocean. He has established the city of Dwaraka overnight through the help of Vishwakarma in the middle of the ocean, and he shifted all the Mathuravasis to Dwaraka through his Yogamaya potency. And Krishna has also defeated Jarasandha 17 times, and Krishna has also killed Kalayavana not directly but through his devotee named Muchukunda. Muchukunda was sleeping in a cave, and Krishna has directed Kalayavana to that Muchukunda's cave. And Kalayavana thought that Muchukunda was Krishna, and he kicked this Muchukunda, and Muchukunda got up from his sleep and he opened his eyes, and Kalayavana was burnt to ashes. So all these details we have discussed in the last 2 days. Today we will discuss the episode of Queen Rukmini. Rukmini was the first queen of Krishna, and the marriage of Rukmini has happened in a very unique manner. So this kind of marriage is called Rakshasa style of marriage. So Krishna married his first wife Rukmini in a Rakshasa style. So we will discuss the details of this beautiful marriage that happened between Krishna and Rukmini. And in the Mukundamala Stotra, there is a beautiful shloka about Rukmini Devi, the first wife of Krishna. The shloka says, Bhakta Paya Bhujanga Garudamani Trailokya Rakshamani Gopi Lochana Chatakam Budamani Saundarya Mudramani Yah Kantamani Rukmini Ghanakucha Dvandvaika Bhushamani Shreyadeva Sikhamani Dishatuno Gopala Chudamani. Bhakta Paya Bhujanga Garudamani. Krishna is the supreme protector of all his beloved devotees. That Krishna would come on the back of Garuda and lifts the devotees, rescues his devotees who were drowning in this ocean of material existence. Bhakta Paya Bhujanga Garudamani. So Krishna, when he was sitting on the back of Garuda, he was looking like a blue Neelamani, like a beautiful precious jewel which is bluish in color on top of a golden mountain. So Garuda's body was looking like a golden mountain, and the Lord was looking like a blue jewel. Bhakta Paya Bhujanga Garudamani Trailokya Rakshamani. In this way, Krishna protects his devotees in all the 3 planetary systems. Gopi Lochana Chatakam Budamani Saundarya Mudramani. Krishna is like that jewel. He is compared to a cloud. So cloud is compared to jewel here. So Krishna is like Ambudamani. He is like jewel like cloud that gives hope to Chataka bird like gopis of Vrindavan. Just like a Chataka bird wouldn't take water from any water reservoir, but Chataka bird waits for the drop of water that comes directly from the cloud. So Chataka bird directly drinks the rainwater. So Chataka bird is waiting for this rainwater. Similarly, the gopis of Vrindavan also wait for the darshan of the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is like Ambudamani. Gopi Lochana Chatakam Budamani. So Krishna is so beautiful that he appears in front of the gopis, and he gives such great festive experience to all the gopis who are trying to see him with their beautiful eyes. So the eyes of the gopis are like Chataka birds, and Krishna's darshan is like the cloud, rain cloud. So he is Saundarya Mudramani. He is the best of all beautiful personalities. And the third line speaks about Rukmini Devi. Yah Kantamani Rukmini Ghanakucha Dvandvaika Bhushamani. Rukmini is considered Kantamani. best of all women. So this Rukmini holds the Supreme Lord Krishna on her heart, just like a necklace is there on the heart. So similarly, Queen Rukmini keeps Krishna on her own chest, on her heart, as a very wonderful decoration. Yah Kantamani, Kantamani Rukmini Ghanakucha Dvandvaika Bhushamani. Bhusha is a jewel. So, Shreyo Devasikhamani Dishatuno Gopala Chudamani. May that best jewel of all the cowherd community be our protector. May he cause auspiciousness to all of us. So, like that, Krishna is held as a beautiful jeweled ornament on the heart of Queen Rukmini. And in the next 2 days, we will discuss how Krishna married Rukmini. Today, we will discuss how Krishna was so attractive to Rukmini, so much so that Rukmini has written a letter personally to Krishna to come and kidnap her. So she was inviting Krishna, Krishna, you come and kidnap me. So you please take me to your abode, to your Dwaraka Dham. So like that, Rukmini herself invited Krishna to accept her hand. So we will see the story. So the Parikshit Maharaj was so eager to hear this beautiful story of Rukmini and Krishna. Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadeva Goswami, my dear Sukadeva Goswami, I have heard that Krishna married his first wife Rukmini in a Rakshasa style of marriage. I am very eager and enthusiastic to hear that wonderful description. Can you please describe that to me? So yesterday we have seen Balaramji's marriage, and today we will discuss about Krishna's marriage. The first marriage of Krishna was with Rukmini Devi. Parikshit Maharaj is asking, Rakshasena vidhanena upayema iti shrutam. I have heard that Krishna married Rukmini in Rakshasa style. So can you please tell me the elaborate description of this? Then Parikshit Maharaj says, I wish to hear the immeasurably powerful Lord Krishna took away his bride while defeating such kings as Magadha and Shalva. So Krishna defeated many kings. When he was kidnapping Rukmini Devi, Krishna also destroyed so many kings. He killed so many people. So Parikshit was eager to know this whole story. And Parikshit was expressing his eagerness further by describing the glory of Krishna Katha. Krishna's pastimes are so wonderful and so amazing and so pleasing to the ears and to the heart that whatever may be the amount of Krishna Katha must have heard, still there is an eagerness in a sincere devotee to hear more and more and more. So that eagerness is expressed by Parikshit Maharaj. He says, Brahman Krishna Katha Punya Madhvir Lokamalapah Ko Nutrupyeta Srinvanah Shrutagno Nityanutanaha. He says, I am reading from the 10th canto, 52nd chapter, text number 20, shloka number 20. Brahman Krishna Katha Punya Madhvir Lokamalapaha. So Krishna Katha is the topmost pious activity. It's not an ordinary materially pious activity. It is the topmost spiritual activity. To be able to hear Krishna Katha is so uplifting one's consciousness spiritually. Madhvir Lokamalapaha. Krishna's pastimes are so sweet, and Lokamalapaha. Lokamalapaha means they can completely vanquish the contamination in this entire material existence. And Parikshit further says, Konu trupyeta srinvanaha. Who can be satisfied or satiated by hearing Krishna Katha? Whatever may be the amount of Katha that you hear about Krishna, you feel like hearing more and more. He says, Shrutagno Nitya Nutanaha, because Krishna's pastimes are always Nitya Nutana. Nitya means always, Nutana means new. They always appear new. So Krishna's activities and pastimes and qualities and names, they always appear new. The devotees of Krishna chant Krishna's names constantly every day, but still the name appears newer. They don't get bored with chanting of the holy names. Krishna's pastimes are heard by his devotees regularly, but still they don't get bored. They always consider them new. All the descriptions of Krishna's beautiful qualities are also very new to the ears of sincere devotees who sincerely hear Krishna Katha. So Parikshit became so eager to hear further pastimes of Krishna and now he's specifically inquiring about Krishna's marriage with Rukmini Devi. Now Sukadeva Goswami, responding to the eagerness of Parikshit Maharaj, he narrates the story of Rukmini Devi. Rukmini was the Rukmini was the daughter of powerful ruler of Vidarbha. There is a great king named Bhishmaka. Bhishmaka had 5 sons and 1 daughter. Bhishmaka was the king of Vidarbha. That's why Rukmini is also called Vaidarbhi. So Bhishmaka, the king of Vidarbha, had 5 sons and 1 daughter. And the 5 sons were Rukmi, Rukmartha, Rukmaratha, then Rukma Bahu, Rukma Kesha and Rukma Mali. These are the 5 sons of this Bhishmaka, and the daughter is named Rukmini. So the eldest son was Rukmi, and Rukmi had a very negative attitude, and he is not very much favorable to Krishna. He is not a good devotee of Krishna, and he specifically envied Krishna. But Rukmini loves Krishna a lot, because in Bhishmaka's kingdom so many sages and brahmanas and other saintly people would come, and they would narrate about the glorious qualities and activities of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Thus Rukmini was accustomed to hear about Krishna from so many exalted devotees and brahmanas who would come to their kingdom, and by hearing about Krishna regularly, repeatedly, Rukmini developed an intense attraction towards Krishna. Although she had not directly seen Krishna, just by hearing the qualities of Krishna and activities of Krishna, Rukmini was so attracted to the personality of Krishna. So hearing from sincere devotees and brahmanas and people who are in pure consciousness will have such a purifying effect on our own consciousness that we can develop God consciousness. So a very important way to purify our consciousness and come closer to God is hearing about God from devotees of God. So whatever contamination is there in our minds is completely vanquished when we hear Krishna Katha from exalted souls. That's a very effective way of purifying oneself. And not only purification of oneself, but elevation to a higher consciousness also happens by hearing from great souls. In the 2nd canto of Bhagavatam, there is a beautiful shloka that says that Pibanti ye bhagavata atmanas satam kathamritam shravanaputeshu sambhritam punanti te vishaya vidushitashayam vrajanti tacharana saroruhantikam. Pibanti ye bhagavata atmanas satam. When we hear the descriptions of Bhagavan, Krishna, as mentioned in the great scriptures like Bhagavatam, Pibanti ye, we should drink. We generally drink with mouth, but Shravana Puteshu Sambhritam, this drinking of Krishna Katha happens through ear holes. So Kathamritam Shravana Puteshu Sambhritam, when we hear the nectarian narrations of Krishna through our ear holes, then what will happen? These nectarian narrations will enter through the ear holes and will enter into the hearts of sincere hearers, and they completely purify the negative aspirations and bad qualities or negative qualities in our hearts. So punanti te vishaya vidushita ashayam. Ashayam means goal or aspiration. In this material world, materialistic people have material goals. They want to enjoy sense gratification, or they have so many other material desires, and they have lust, pride, greed, envy, etc. So these negative personality traits, these negative qualities or inclinations will be vanquished. They are purified if we allow the narrations of God to enter our ear holes and thus enter into our hearts. And not only our contamination in the mind and heart is purified, we will also attain shelter of Krishna's lotus feet in the spiritual realm by sincerely and regularly hearing Krishna Katha. We will develop an uncontrollable and irresistible desire to render service to God and to come closer to God by hearing Krishna Katha. That is the effect of hearing. Now we have seen in the case of Rukmini Devi, she has heard about Krishna from so many Brahmanas and sages who visited her kingdom, and now she developed a desire to attain Krishna. She developed a desire to offer herself to Krishna as his wife. So if I marry, I will marry only Krishna. I will not marry anyone. She has made a firm decision within her mind just by hearing about Krishna's glorious qualities. And Rukmini Devi is actually eternal consort of Krishna. And Rukmini has fixed her mind on Krishna by hearing about Krishna. However, and one more thing is, Krishna also, he is the super soul, he also desired to marry Rukmini Devi. Being the super soul in the heart of every single living being, when a sincere devotee desires to render some seva to Krishna, Krishna knows about it. So our desire to come closer to God will be known to God because God is all pervading. He is everywhere. He understands all our minds. So Rukmini's desire to attain Krishna was known to Krishna because Krishna is also desiring to have Rukmini as his husband, as his wife. So now Krishna knew that Rukmini possessed good intelligence, auspicious bodily marks, beauty, proper behavior, and all other good qualities. So the good qualities of a devotee will attract the attention of the Supreme Lord, and Krishna also desired to marry Rukmini, and Rukmini also desired to marry Krishna, and they never saw each other. It's only through the hearing and on a spiritual platform. However, Rukmini's brother Rukmi had a different desire. This Rukmi, he is Krishna Dvid. Sukadeva Goswami describes Rukmi like this: Tato Naivarya Krishna Dvid Rukmi Chaidyam Amanyata. So Rukmi had a friend named Shishupal. He is the king of Chedi, the kingdom of Chedi. So Rukmi wanted to get Rukmini married to Shishupal and not to Krishna. And he is Krishna Dvid. Shishupala hated Krishna and Rukmi also hated Krishna. So Rukmi never was favorable towards Krishna. So Rukmi was forcefully trying to give Rukmini in marriage to Shishupal. And Rukmini did not like it. And Bhishmaka, he was also inclined towards Krishna, and he loves his daughter Rukmini so much, but still because his eldest son Rukmi was so obstinate, so adamant and so stubborn, and he had a stubborn desire to get Rukmini married to Shishupal, Bhishmaka was helplessly, he was kind of supporting Rukmi. So, but Rukmini was not at all in a mood to marry Shishupal. She has given her heart to Krishna already. So, knowing that her marriage arrangements were being made, Rukmini called for a Brahmana, a very sincere Brahmana. She called and she requested this Brahmana, my dear Brahmana, can you please give my message to Krishna? Please go from this Vidarbha kingdom to Dwaraka city and meet Krishna and just inform Krishna that I have given my heart to him and I have been waiting since long time to have Krishna as my husband. So can you please give this message? And she has written a very beautiful letter and she gave that letter to this Brahmana. And this Brahmana's role is now to take this letter of Rukmini and give it to Krishna and inspire Krishna and beg and request Krishna to come and accept the hand of Rukmini. So Rukmini, being a Kshatriya girl, she can understand she is very bold enough to just write a letter to invite the boy to come and kidnap her. And she can understand all the political affairs. She has given a very perfect plan how Krishna can come and kidnap Rukmini. So she had sent one Brahmana to Dwaraka. So this Brahmana travelled all the way to Dwaraka from Vidarbha kingdom. And Rukmini's marriage arrangements were happening here, but this Brahmana went all the way to Dwaraka. And as soon as this Brahmana reached Dwaraka, crossing the sea, Krishna saw this Brahmana. And Krishna received this Brahmana with great love and affection and respect. And he was worshipping this Brahmana. Just like Krishna was worshipped by all the Devatas, Similarly, Krishna would worship Brahmana devatas. Because Krishna is Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Krishna worships Brahmanas. Krishna is so favorably inclined towards Brahmanas and cows. He is specifically the protector of Brahmanas and cows. So when a Brahmana comes to Krishna's kingdom, Krishna's Dwarka city, so that Brahmana would get all welcome wherever he may be from. Because Brahmanas are endowed with all good qualities. They have Shama, Dama, Tapa, Shaucham. All these qualities are there. They are very clean internally and externally. They are very austere. They are very satisfied, and they don't speak any lies. They are very knowledgeable. They are very truthful, and they are sense controlled. Their minds are under their control. So they are not victims of uncontrolled mind. So in this way, Brahmanas are endowed with all wonderful qualities, and Krishna loves these Brahmanas so much. And whenever a Brahmana comes to Krishna, Krishna would personally go and welcome him and worship that Brahmana. And Krishna received this Brahmana and asked him some questions. The first question that he asked was, "My dear Brahmana, are you happy? Are you happy practicing your dharma as a Brahmana, your religious duties, your prescribed duties? And are you happy following the prescriptions of great authorities, senior authorities? Because the ancestors who have great knowledge have recommended certain practices for Brahmanas and Kshatriyas to follow. By following all these age-old, ever valid principles, a Brahmana is very much situated in his constitutional position, in his all his good principles." So first Krishna inquired about the Brahmanical principles followed by this Brahmana, and he says that if we follow all the Brahmanical principles, which are standard for all Brahmanas, then the heart will be completely satisfied. Satisfaction is there in following one's prescribed duties, which are enjoined in the scriptures and by the ancestors. So he says, Dharmaste vriddha sattamaha santushta manasa sada. Your mind is satisfied always. So by being rooted in dharma, by being fixed up in one's dharma, one can be very much satisfied at heart. So the highest dharma of every living entity is savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktiradhokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. The highest dharma for the entire humanity is to perform unmotivated and uninterrupted devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that will completely satisfy the self. Following dharma will satisfy the self. The highest satisfaction is there in following this paro dharma, the supreme dharma of bhakti yoga, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is asking, are you following your dharma nicely? If you are following your dharma nicely, then your mind is always satisfied. Santushta manasaha sada. And Krishna describes the glory of that satisfaction in the next shloka. He says, Santushto yarhi varteta brahmano yena kenachit abhimya ahiyamanaha swadharmat sahyasya khila kamadruk. He says that when a Brahmana is satisfied with whatever he gets of its own accord, yadricha labha santushto. So sometimes we have to over endeavor to get some material facility, but sometimes with a reasonable and considerable and minimal effort we get some facilities. So one should actually, a Brahmana is a person who is actually satisfied with whatever comes of its own accord. So without being greedy for more, we deserve some things and we get those things by our honest efforts. One should be satisfied with it. But without being satisfied with whatever comes of its own accord by one's honest efforts, if one becomes greedy and political and one takes to cheating activities to earn more than what one is destined to get, then that will only dissatisfy the heart. So Krishna is saying, when a Brahmana is satisfied with whatever comes his way and does not fall away from his religious duties, sometimes one may have to compromise on dharma to earn more. What is the point of earning such a livelihood? Somebody may accept some money by robbing from people, or in an organized way cheating people and then taking their money. So that kind of money will actually not satisfy the heart. That will only make one passionate and always fearful. When you are cheating people and then taking their money, then there is always fear in the heart, subtle fear deep within, or guilt is there in the heart, or one will not be satisfied. There is an anxiety in the mind to hide one's uh, like dishonestly earned money. But if one honestly earns whatever, uh, honestly earns money and maintains his livelihood with whatever comes of its own accord by one's honest efforts, one will be satisfied. There is no need to speak any lies, there is no need to cheat anyone, no need to hide anything from anyone. So that way, by following one's dharma and by getting whatever comes of its own accord, one should be happy. असंतुष्टो सकृल्लोकान् आप्नोति अपि सुरेश्वरः अकिंचनोपि संतुष्टः शेते सर्वांग विज्वरः. Krishna in the next shloka says that dissatisfaction leads to distress. We should be satisfied with whatever comes of its own accord by our honest endeavors. But if we are not satisfied with whatever is there with us, and if we are out of the dissatisfaction, if we are taking to different kinds of means to derive more and more, then one will only attain distress. Krishna clearly says here, an unsatisfied Brahmana wanders restlessly from one planet to another planet. If one is not satisfied with what one has, even if he is given the entire kingdom of heaven also, he is not satisfied. You are giving me only heaven, I want the lower planets also. So if one is too greedy and not satisfied with what one has, then one will not be satisfied with whatever amount of wealth is given to him. So satisfaction keeps us peaceful, dissatisfaction makes us distressful. So he says like this, Krishna. He was speaking to this Brahmana. And in the purport it is written, those who are unsatisfied feel distress throughout their body, becoming subject to many diseases. Because when there is a dissatisfaction in the mind, when you are constantly in anxiety, one's body also will get spoiled because of that. But when there is satisfaction in the mind, one can remain happy and healthy, mentally and physically also. So dissatisfaction leads to a lot of distress and anxiety and spoil one's body also, by all means. So Vipran Svalabha Santushtan Sadhun Bhuta Suhrittaman Nirahankarinah Shantan Namasye Sirasa Sakrit. Now Krishna says that I will bow down in front of such a satisfied Brahmana. A satisfied Brahmana is worthy of worship even by the Supreme Lord Krishna also. Krishna is so wonderfully and eloquently speaking the principles of satisfaction and Brahmanical principles in front of this Brahmana messenger of Rukmini Devi. He says that Vipran Svalabha Santushtan, being happy with whatever comes of its own accord. So you have honestly endeavored to get something and you received some profit, be happy with it. And Sadhun Bhuta Suhrittamaha, when you are satisfied, then you can have compassion on other people. So when somebody is satisfied within, he is very happy with whatever he has and whatever he is, then he can show some compassion on others. He can be little kind towards others. He is happy to help other people. But if one is dissatisfied with one's own situation, what kind of help he can offer to others? So a satisfied Brahmana can be a Bhuta Suhrittama, can be a sincere well-wisher of people in general. Satisfaction not only leads to happiness and peace, satisfaction leads to compassion also. And satisfaction leads to a friendly attitude towards other beings. If one is dissatisfied within, how can such a person be friendly towards others? How can such a person show any compassion or kindness upon others? He has no ability to empathize or sympathize with other people because he himself is dissatisfied. But if we are satisfied within with whatever we have, then we can help others. That's what Krishna says. Bhuta Suhrittaman, one can be kind towards others. Nirahankarinah Shantan, a satisfied person does not have ahankara. Because a person who is very wealthy and is very greedy to earn more and more, he has this mentality of competing with other people who have more, or comparing himself with other people who may not have so much, and complaining that because of these obstacles or these people I could not earn a lot. So comparison, competition, complaints, all this will come because of dissatisfaction with what one is. By having a lot of greed for more and more, one cannot be satisfied, and one will get into complaint mode, comparison mode, and competition mode, and critical mentality. All these frailties will just manifest in a personality who is not satisfied within. So nirahankara, there is no ahankara, there is no false ego in a person who is satisfied. And shantan, one will be peaceful. If one is satisfied with what one has, one will be peaceful. Namasye sirasasakrit. And Krishna says, I offer my dandavats, I offer my obeisances with my head. I bow down my head in front of such a satisfied Brahmana. So, what are the Brahmanical principles that attract the mind of Krishna are so wonderfully described in these 3 shlokas that we discussed so far. I spoke from 10th canto, 52nd chapter, shlokas number 31, 32 and 33. So, these 3 shlokas beautifully describe the Brahmanical principle of satisfaction. It's not only for Brahmanas, it is meant for all people in general, entire humanity. The principle of satisfaction is very much relevant for Brahmanas, and it is relevant for actually everybody. So, after that, Krishna says, "O Brahmana, are you satisfied with your king's rule?" So far he spoke about self-satisfaction, satisfaction with what one is. But a Brahmana or any citizen in general, he should also be satisfied with the rule of the king. So is your king taking care of all of you properly? Is the king happy with you? So is your king attending to your welfare? Indeed, that king who is in whose country the citizens are happy and protected are very dear to me. So far Krishna spoke what kind of Brahmana will be dear to him. Now Krishna is speaking what kind of Kshatriya will be dear to him. And after speaking these 4 shlokas, Krishna asked this Brahmana, "My dear Brahmana, you have come all the way from Vidarbha kingdom to my city Dwarka, crossing this sea. There must be a very important reason for your arrival. Please tell me, what is the reason for your arrival? So how can I serve you?" he says. Then this Brahmana responded. He was completely satisfied with the pleasing welcome of Krishna. He was so impressed with the kind-hearted behavior of Krishna, and he was so appreciative of how Krishna receives and welcomes and treats Brahmanas. And this Brahmana started revealing the purpose of his visit to Dwarka. He said, "My dear Krishna, I have actually come to you with this letter sent by Rukmini Devi. Rukmini, the daughter of King of Vidarbha, daughter of Bhishmaka, she loves you more than her own self, and she had sent a beautiful letter, a very important message for you to take some action. So please hear the letter sent by this Rukmini." And this Brahmana starts reading that letter. The letter says, "Shri Rukminyuvacha Shritva gunan bhuvan sundara shrunvatam te Shritva gunan bhuvan sundara shrunvatam te Nirvishya karna vivarair haratongatapam Rupam drisham drishimatam akhilarthalabham Tvayachyuta vishati chittam apatrapam me." In this beautiful shloka, Rukmini Devi says that Shritva Gunan, "Oh my dear Krishna, I have heard about your beautiful qualities. Shritva Gunan Bhuvana Sundara Srinvatam Te." "Oh Bhuvana Sundara, oh beautiful Krishna, oh Krishna who is most enchanting to entire creation. All the planets and the residents of all planets in the entire cosmic manifestation get attracted to Krishna's irresistible beauty. Krishna is called Bhavana Sundara. There is no person who is as beautiful as Krishna in the entire cosmos. That's why he is called Bhavana Sundara. Shrutva Gunan, I have heard about your wonderful qualities, O Krishna. Shrutva Gunan Bhavana Sundara Srunvatamte. Then she says, Nirvishya Karana Vivarair Haratonga Tapam. When the descriptions of your beautiful qualities enter my karana, my ears, Harato Angatapam, all the distress of my body is completely vanquished by hearing about Krishna. All distresses in this world are completely vanquished when we sincerely hear about Krishna's qualities, Krishna's Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. Shritva Gunan Bhavana Sundara Srinvatam Te Nirvishta Karna Vivarair Harato Angatapam. So bodily distresses are gone and the mental frailties are gone. All the contamination in the heart is completely destroyed by hearing Krishna Katha. So Rukmini Devi is such a wonderful example of a devotee who has developed a lot of attraction towards Krishna by hearing about Krishna. In the 10th canto, 23rd chapter, we have also seen that those simple women, the wives of Brahmanas, they also heard about Krishna's qualities from different people who are coming to their village, and they also developed a lot of attraction towards Krishna just by hearing about Krishna. So Krishna had sent some of his cowhead boys to the Yajnik Brahmanas. Some Brahmanas are doing some yajnas, and when Krishna was in Vrindavan, his cowhead boys had become little hungry. So Krishna said, you go and beg from these Yajnik Brahmanas. And Yajnik Brahmanas denied. They did not even reply to the requests of these boys. The boys asked, oh Brahmanas, can you please give us some food? Krishna and Balaram are nearby. Then the Brahmanas did not respond only. So the Brahmanas were so negligent of their request. So the boys returned to Krishna and Balaram, and Krishna suggested, you please go to Yajnik Brahmanis. Means you go to the wives of all these Brahmanas, the wives will definitely respond to your request. They will give you all food. Then as soon as these cowhead boys went to these wives of Brahmanas and informed that Krishna and Balaram are nearby, they are hungry, can you please give us some food? All these Brahmanas' wives, they just brought whatever food items they had, and they left their families and houses and husbands and children and everybody, and they ran towards the forest to feed Krishna and Balaram their loving food. So they have developed attraction towards Krishna just by hearing about Krishna. And here Rukmini also had developed a lot of attraction towards Krishna by hearing about Krishna. We need to regularly hear about Krishna to develop our love for Krishna. So this Brahmana is continuing this shloka. Shritva gunan bhavana sundara srinvatam te nirvishta karna vivaraihi harato angatapam. Next she is speaking about Rupam. Rupam drisham drishimatam akhilarthalabham. So my dear Krishna, your Rupam, she has not seen Krishna, but she has heard the beauty of Krishna's form from all the sages and Brahmanas who came to her kingdom. So just by hearing about the description of this beautiful person, there is a lot of attraction. What to speak of seeing that beautiful form of the Lord directly. So even the gopis also say that akshanvatam phalamidam naparam vidamaha. There is no other purpose for the eyes other than to see Krishna's beautiful form in Vrindavan. And now Rukmini is also saying, Rupam drusham drushimatam akhilarthalabham. The topmost benefit that the eyes can get is by seeing the beautiful form of Krishna. The purpose of having eyes is to be able to see Krishna's transcendental, divine, spiritual form, Sachidananda Vigraha. So Krishna's form is enchanting to even Cupid. That's why he is called Madana Mohana. He is so attractive to even Cupid also. So Krishna's form is so attractive, and the purpose of having eyes is to be able to see Krishna's beautiful form, and we have that opportunity to see Krishna's beautiful form in the temple as a deity in the temple. Then Tvayachyuta Vishati Chitta Mata Apatrapammi. She says that my shameless mind somehow got attracted towards your beautiful qualities and beautiful form, and I have fixed my mind completely on you. I have fixed my consciousness completely on you, Krishna. Now she is an unmarried girl, and she is writing a secret letter to another boy, Krishna, and sending the letter to a Brahmana. So Rukmini is the eternal consort of Krishna, and getting attracted to Krishna is so natural for any pure soul. So Rukmini is getting attracted to Krishna and writing this letter so boldly is not against any spiritual principle. So according to social customs, it may seem little awkward. Oh, how can this girl, princess, write a letter to another prince, inviting him to kidnap her in a Rakshasa style? So for Kshatriyas, marrying in a Rakshasa style is basically marrying some woman, marrying a girl by force, by forcefully kidnapping that girl from the kingdom, from her father's place. So this is Rakshasa style of marriage, and Krishna did it. And Rukmini is inviting Krishna to do it. And she is quite bold. Rukmini was the king's daughter. She was very courageous and bold, and furthermore, she would rather die than losing Krishna. So this is a highly elevated spiritual consciousness to get helplessly attracted to Krishna. And Rukmini is in such pure consciousness. And considering all this, she wrote a frank and explicit letter begging Krishna to come and take her away. Further, she says, Katva mukunda mahati kulashila rupa vidyavayo dravinadam abhiratmatulyam धीरापतिं कुलवती नवृणीत कन्या काले नृसिंहनरलोकमनोभिरामम्. She says, Katva Mukunda Mahati Kulashila Rupa. Oh Lord, oh Mukunda, your Kula, your Sheela, your Rupa. Kula is dynasty, Sheela is character, Rupa is form. All are so attractive. And Vidya, your education, means your knowledge. Vaya, your age. Krishna is always young. Krishna, although he is 100 years old, he looks like a 20-year-old boy. So, Vidya Vayo Dravina Dama Bhiratmatulyam. Dravina, your wealth. Dravina Dama is influence. Your influence, your wealth, everything is unparalleled. Atmatulyam, only you can be compared to yourself in all these qualities. In any of these qualities, no one else can compare to you. For example, you take Kula, your dynasty is so glorious. No dynasty is as glorious as you. Sheela, your character is most glorious. Sheelam sarvajananuranjanamaho yasyayam asmat prabhur. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this beautiful shloka comes. Sheelam sarvajana anuranjanam. So Krishna's beautiful character is so enchanting and appealing and attractive to everybody. Men, women, demoniac people, and devatas and common human beings and even animals also get attracted to Krishna's qualities. Sheelam sarvajananuranjanamaho. No one is as attractive as Krishna. And Rupa, Krishna is most beautiful. Nityam nirikshamananam yadapidvara kaukasam navitrupyanti hidrishaha shriyo dhamangam. Although the Dwarkavasis are accustomed to see Krishna's beautiful form every single day, still they are never satiated. They always want to continue to see Krishna's form. They always feel separation from Krishna. Oh Krishna, I want to see you more and more. And Vidya, who can be more knowledgeable than Krishna? Krishna has given the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. He has given the knowledge of Uddhava Gita to Uddhava, and he has enlightened so many other great souls. And he is the one who has enlightened Brahmaji right in the beginning of creation. He is the origin of all knowledge. Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyo vedanta krit veda videva chaham. Of all Vedas, Krishna is the compiler of Vedas. Krishna is the knower of Vedas. By studying all the Vedas, Krishna is to be known. Like that, Krishna is the object of all Vedic knowledge. Vasudeva para Veda. So Vidya, Vaya, Krishna is always 16 years old. There is no old age for Krishna. So Krishna grows up to 16 years old, and then he always looks like a young boy. Dravina Damabhir, and Krishna's wealth, he is directly the husband of goddess of fortune Lakshmi. Who is there as wealthy as Krishna? Damabhir influence, Krishna is popular all over the universe. Who has that much popularity? Who has that much influence? So like that, Kunti Rukmini Devi says that Krishna, you are asamordhva, atmatulyam. If we have to compare anyone with you in any of these qualities, we have to take the second person as also yourself only. Means we have to compare you with yourself. There is no one who can compare with you. Atmatulyam. There is no comparison to yourself in all these qualities. So she says, Dhira patim kulavati navridita kanya. If you are so endowed with all these excellent qualities, which kanya, which woman would restrain her mind from offering it to you? Oh Lord, you are so attractive. So you are asamordhva. Who wouldn't choose you as her husband? She says, Katva mukunda mahati kulashila rupa vidya vayo dravinadam abhiratmatulyam. In this way, she glorifies Krishna. Then further she says, Tanme bhavan khalu vrataha patirangajayam atmarpitascha bhavatotra vibho videhi. She says, Tanme bhavan khalu vrataha patir angajayam. I have taken a vow to become your wife. So I cannot accept any other man as my husband. I have completely dedicated my heart to your good self, to your lordship, my dear Krishna. Now that I have offered myself to you, it is your responsibility to come and accept me, accept my hand and accept me as your wife. She says, Atmarpitaha. Arpita means offering. I have offered myself to you. Atmarpitaha. Cha bhavatotra vibho videhi. Please come to this Videha kingdom. And because I belong to you, at heart I have given myself to you. I am your share. I am your property. And Shishupala, who is like a jackal, how can he accept the share of yourself who are like a lion? Just like a jackal cannot take the belongings of a lion, because jackal, if he tries to steal something from the lion will just rip off. The lion will just kill jackal effortlessly. Similarly, Shishupala is like a jackal when Krishna is like a lion. So Krishna, I am meant for you. I am meant for your enjoyment. And Shishupal seems to be taking away me from you. So please protect me. And she says, I have worshipped so many devatas, brahmanas, gurus. I have given a lot of charity. I have performed so many rituals. And let all my charity, rituals and worship and austerities, everything be in exchange of this one benediction. What is that benediction? I want you as my husband. In exchange of this benediction, I can just offer all my pious credits, all my spiritual credits. She says, please take my hand. This is what I want. And after requesting Krishna to accept her, this Rukmini Devi, she is a princess. She knows how kings operate. So she also gives a very pakka plan how Krishna can come and kidnap her. She says, O unconquerable Krishna, Svo Bhavini Tvam Ajito Vahane Vidarbhan. You can come to Vidarbha and you have to kidnap me. So tomorrow, when my marriage ceremony is about to begin, you can come here. You come to Vidarbha kingdom unseen by everyone, and you also get your other armies, and then you should be surrounded by your armies, and then you just come and kidnap me and then take me. So she gives a political plan. And after that, and you marry me in Rakshasa style like this. So you should come and accept me. And now there are so many ways. She wrote a love letter to Krishna, and Krishna may respond to the love letter by going to the father of Rukmini and then have some marriage negotiations and then get the marriage happen. But Rukmini says, no, don't go through all that. You just come and take my hand, just kidnap me, just in Rakshasa style, you just kidnap me and then take me away. So like that she says. And where exactly, she gives the spot also. In the next sloka she says, so I will be staying in the inner chambers of my palace. Now you may wonder that because the queens are protected so nicely in the inner chambers of the palace, so other men, outside men, will not be given access to them. So Krishna may wonder, how should I come and kidnap you? It's not so easy. She would say that I will come outside my palace. One day before my marriage, I will come outside my palace, inner chambers, and I will go to the temple of Durga, Ambika. So when I come to the temple, I will be surrounded by so many women, so many Brahmani women are there. So I will be with them. So it's very easy for you to come to a temple. So nobody would allow a man to go to the inner chambers of a prince, but people will be allowed to go to a temple. So when I come to the temple, you also come to the temple, Durga temple, and then kidnap me from there. So on the day before marriage, there is a grand procession to honor the royal family's deity, and in the procession, the new bride goes outside the city to visit goddess Girija. You come there and then kidnap me. Then she says, yes, यस्यांघ्रि पंकजरजः स्नपनं महान्तो वाञ्छन्त्युमापतिरिवात्मतमोपहत्यैः यर्ह्यम्बुजाक्ष न लभेय भवत्प्रसादं जह्यामसून् व्रतकृशान् शतजन्मभिः स्यात्. She says that, my dear Lord, she was so determined. Your lotus feet are worshipped even by Brahma and Shiva and all the other great devatas. If I do not attain your lotus feet, I consider it better to give up my life. She says, Yarhyambujaksha na labheya bhavat prasadam. If I do not get your mercy, O lotus-eyed Krishna, O unconquerable Krishna, she says, Jahyamasoon, I better give up my life. I will give up my life heirs. Vrata Krishan, Shatajanma Bhisyat. So, at least I can obtain your mercy after several lifetimes. I shall simply give up my vital force, which will have become weak from severe penances I will perform. So, in this way, then after 100 lifetimes of endeavor, I may attain you. I can wait for 100 lifetimes to attain your lotus feet, but I cannot marry anyone else other than you. I cannot marry Shishupal or anyone else other than you, my dear Lord. Please accept me. So, in this, with such a fervent, ardent appeal, Rukmini Devi concludes her letter, and this entire letter is read out by this Brahmana messenger in front of Krishna, and Krishna went through this letter, and Krishna was impressed with the sincere devotion of Rukmini Devi, and Krishna will go to Kundinapur, to this Vidarbha kingdom, and he will kidnap Rukmini Devi according to her request. So all the description we will see tomorrow. Today we have just seen how Krishna heard the letter written by Rukmini Devi. This is like the first love letter ever written by a girl to a boy. But this is a very divine, transcendental and spiritual exchange between the Supreme Lord Krishna and his eternal consort Rukmini Devi. This is not mundane or ordinary lusty affairs between a boy and girl. So these are very divine pastimes. So this is how Krishna's first marriage is about to happen. We will discuss that tomorrow. Thank you all very much. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.